Welcome back, everybody, to this episode of the Open Concept Podcast, where we are breaking down unnecessary walls and barriers that stand in the way of greatness. I am so excited to have the man here, the only man that I send half-naked photos to on a weekly basis. The man that I say this with a lot of weight. There's very few people that have changed or had a huge impact in my life. And gentlemen, today you're going to be hearing from is one of those gentlemen. The fire behind me and my fitness journey, being able to finally see the results that I wanted to see, that I always hoped I could see, shredding down from about 15% body fat to under 9% body fat for the first time in my life at 40 years old. Coach Alan Dyck, straight out of Kelowna. What is up, my man?
You know what? It's a pleasure to be here. And every single day that I hear people say what you just said makes me appreciate why I started doing what I did in the first place, and allows me to stay motivated every single day to keep helping as many people as possible.
You have to, man. You have to. I think it's your duty. If you're helping one person, helping two people, helping three people, you can help more and more people. And it is your duty, dude, to get out there, be loud and proud about what it is that you do. I've seen thousands of stories, and you've worked with thousands of people where you've helped transform their lives, and not only their bodies, but their mindset, the relationship that they have with food, with what they have with exercise. And I think that's a huge part of where people struggle, right? There's a physical aspect, but then there's also the mental aspect. And there's a reason why so many people, they go down the path of dieting, go down the path of getting into a workout routine for a few months, but then they get back into old habits. They start to self-sabotage, and getting past that barrier and into that next phase where now this becomes a lifestyle, that becomes more of your identity, becomes more habit, is something that you've certainly worked with so many people on. And it's been amazing to see the transformations.
I agree. And you know what? I had to go through all the trouble myself to finally get to a good place, obviously from where I came from where I am now. And just to be able to teach every single person and educate along the way so they can have an understanding of exactly what works for them is a huge game changer.
I know a bit of your backstory. I want you to share what Alan used to be, who Alan was before became Coach Alan Dyck. I mean, like I've heard rumors out there, man. Like rumors are moving around who you were. 120 pounds lost in a couple of months, just eating chicken and tomatoes. I've heard your story; it's out there. But take us back to little Alan, or I should say, Big Alan.
I was going to rephrase little Alan and say, Humpty Dumpty did sit on the wall. You know, I was a walking, talking Reese's Pieces buttercup, and he's like. My thing was food. You know, I always got stressed out, I leaned towards food. And it was my crutch. And I didn't have any other way of understanding how to fix that. So it was always, fast food and bad food, because I had that short-term, bliss feeling. And then all of a sudden I would be upset, but I always came back to that point. And, for me, I was a big kid, and it was just like I've said many times, it's like I was in a relationship, but at the same time I felt alone because I felt different than the person I was with. Even though she loved me for who I was and what I was, I didn't love myself from where I had let myself get to, not understanding that slow and steady does win the race, but also in the other direction. And once you wake up and you realize that this is where you are and where are you going to be in 5 or 10 or 15 years, it's a huge eye-opener and a huge game changer to say, okay, well, what do I truly want out of life? And I knew I wanted more. I didn't want to be out of breath watching TV. I didn't want to dread going to work because I had to fucking try and put on my shoes and I couldn't do it. I didn't want to climb a set of stairs because it fucking made me feel embarrassed for anyone that was around. And it's just like, I needed to hit my rock bottom to be able to say I need to make a change and where do I want to go. And when I did that, I didn't know how to get there. I just, threw some shit at the wall and just this stuck and it seemed to work. And I wanted to make sure that, I was able to help as many people that are in the same situation not feel like I did and give them a reason or an option. Do you want to feel like this? Now knowing you can act and feel like this, now you get to pick where you want to go.
What was that rock bottom for you?
Rock bottom was a very specific day. I've said it many times. I was getting ready for work and I worked at a fine dining restaurant and we have our attire that we put on and I have slip-on shoes and I had this fucking technique where I'd blow all my air out and I'd be able to put on my shoes because if I didn't, I was too big to do it by myself. Well, one day getting ready for work, I wasn't able to put on my shoes and I literally had a little mini breakdown and I just started fucking crying. And it's like, everyone knows when they're in the position they're in, let it be putting on your shoes, putting on a pair of pants, walking a flight of stairs, being able to pick up your kid. We all have that moment where it's like, holy shit, I better change or it's going to fucking end me. That was the moment for me. So, I turned my fucking fake hat backwards and just said, every day moving forward has to be a day in the positive direction as opposed to where I am. I was able to make that turn, which was really, really hard because anybody in this position and anybody who's currently in this position, it's the hardest thing in the world because you think you're on display 24/7. You think that people are thinking things when they're not, but you are, so that's all that fucking matters. And when I made that switch, walking into a gym or any kind of fitness facility or starting to eat healthy when you're addicted to sugar, like it was so much of a transition that there's a reason why so many people fall off the wagon because they try to go all in, but all in is too much. And I said to myself, I have to go all in or I don't know where I'm going to be because I was morbidly obese and I didn't want to act, feel, and be this way anymore. And I didn't want to be alone in a relationship that was amazing. And so when I turned that corner, went to the gym, which was the hardest thing on the face of the planet. Anybody that has gone through this, they can totally understand. But you know what? I was able to do it. And in 2.5 months of eating a very specific regime of, like you said earlier, chicken and tomatoes, even though that's not what you're supposed to do, and I know that now, but I was able to drop 120 pounds in 2.5 months.
Wow.
The big kicker about all this is that no matter how much weight you lose, you always tend to look through the same set of eyes. And so even though I'd lost that weight, part of me even to this day, and Dan Martell is a big, huge influence on how I was able to make that transition, to know that I've worked as hard as I have to be able to appreciate what I've worked for. But at the same time, I still look through those same eyes. And to me, up until the last little while, I was still this heavy kid that wasn't able to get out of his own skin. So that was the huge part for me as well.
How does somebody get around that? This is a tough thing I think for a lot of people, right? This is the idea of, and not just in fitness, but it's in, it's in business or it's in relationship or it's this dying on the sword for other people and, self-sacrificing your time, your energy, insert X example here. But so many people, they don't have that, they never get past that point of realizing how far they've come and being able to accept that and accept success, accept the praise that they're getting from other people because they are still stuck in this mindset of not good enough or not strong enough, not thin enough, not enough money in the bank, not enough. Like they just get caught up in this not enoughness. And there's a mindset switch there that has to happen that not so many people are fortunate enough to actually be able to realize and turn on. What was that process like for you to change that set of lenses, to be able to step back and be like, okay, I am clearly don't look like this person that I once was anymore. I feel like this person. I don't want to feel like this person. I need a new set of lenses. What was the opportunity that you kind of walked into to really change that?
I'm going to say, and I said it once already, I'm going to say Dan. And the reason why is he came into my life, this January is going to be 2 years ago. And even though I'm to myself, I was very successful. I started out in my basement with like a mat, a set of dumbbells, and a little mini speaker, and transitioned into, I've got a full-fledged studio with 8 trainers that run their business out of here. But at the same time, like, even though I was competing bodybuilding and I would stand on stage, once again, I still felt like I used to 20 years ago, where I was like, I'm still this fucking fat kid that's just out of shape and is getting looked at in the wrong negative way. I still felt like that. And even with my kids, like, my daughter is 10 and my son is 12. And up until the last 2 years, I never took my shirt off. Even though I'm capable of taking my shirt off, my brain didn't have that mindset switch that allowed me to appreciate all the hard work I put in to be this person. And, Dan had made a good point a long time ago. He just said, like you just said, you worked this hard, you transformed your body, you're a healthy beast, you motivate people, this is what you do for a living. Appreciate it, understand that you've worked for it, and just spread the fucking cheer. He's like, all these photos and pictures you have in your studio of The Rock, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, he's like, if they didn't put out who they were, would anybody actually want to be like them or work towards what they have? And I was like, you know what? I get it. You're saying what I want to hear and I understand it, but I had to have some like him tell me it to make that switch. And the second I did, my life has been absolutely amazing every day since.
Stepping into it, man.
100%.
So obviously you weren't always in the gym, you weren't working out, but I've been to your gym, I've seen the posters on your wall. From as a kid, was there any heroes that you had that you looked up to? Was there a reason why it was later in life that you got into this? Was there any sort of inspiration from figures like Arnold that's on your wall, Sylvester Stallone that's up there? Were these guys that you looked up to at an early age, or was this when you just got into this, you just decided, man, now I need to know everything there is about these guys?
Yes, and it's exactly that. It's like when I was at my rock bottom, I said, okay, if I'm 100% the opposite, what does that look like? And I literally did the 100% opposite. I was like, you know what? I'm going to compete. It's eating healthy. It's putting yourself in a direction that is hard because not a lot of people do it. You just finished your cut. It's fucking hard. But at the end of the day, when you get to where you just did, you can hold your head up high and feel proud and accomplished that you did this. No one else did it. No one forced you to do it. No one made your food. No one made you go to the gym. No one made you push that extra rep. You did that. And that's where I was like, you know what? That to me is 100% the other direction. And guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone, they were iconic. They were, one was the biggest guy in the world that came from nothing, did this. Another guy had movies. He was in Rambo and Rocky when he was in his 40s looking absolutely amazing. And I was like, fuck this. We got tons of time. I'm only sitting at 23 years old. I'm morbidly obese. I got some fucking work to do. And when I was able to do it and accomplish what I did, it did make me feel that much better. But also at the same time, it's like how I felt and how I was able to make other people feel because of where I was huge for me. And that's what made me start becoming a personal trainer, because now that I had all this energy and this new set mindset, I was like, my whole goal in life is to have other people feel the same way.
Some people need and they almost crave to hit rock bottom because they know that they need to turn things around, but things are okay enough to not change. Things are all right enough. Their body is all right enough. Their food is all right enough. Their bank account is all right enough to just not quite change much. And they actually crave hitting bottom so that they can hit that reset button and go through this transition that, similar to what you went through. Is that a healthy strategy to hit rock bottom?
I wouldn't say it's a healthy strategy, but at the same time, it's crazy how someone needs that holy shit moment to make that mindset switch, which is ridiculous to say out loud, but I was included in that. It's like I was good until I wasn't, but my wasn't was where I hit that one day. And it's interesting when I have people come into my studio when I used to train in person, or when I talk to people online that join my group, it's like the first thing I do is I just tell them, I want you to talk for 15 minutes and I just want to listen to what you want. And don't hold back. Tell me everything you want. And it's crazy listening to somebody that might be 300 pounds, 5'5", and then they actually tell me what they want. when you're speaking to somebody that can hopefully give you exactly what you're looking for, even though you think it doesn't exist, it's crazy how much you change, and maybe you don't hit that. But I've sat with so many people, and I've trained people where after 2 or 3 or 4 months, all of a sudden we'll be sitting on a bench and they'll just break down and cry. And I have to wait for that moment, because in that moment, not only we're going to be 100% connected on a different level, but they're going to tell me exactly why they started training. And sometimes it takes people a little while to get to that point. My dad died of cancer, or this happened, or whatever. And all of a sudden now I have an understanding of what they saw that might be their rock bottom, or what they saw that motivated them to move in the right direction. And that is their goal. So I hope and I pray that most people don't get to that point and they can make that switch, just seeing kind of the patterns that they're taking. And sometimes it's misery loves company, and it's so sad to see, but it's like, I might want something, but my partner might not, or my family might not. But then I feel bad because I'm going to do this, but they don't want me to do it, and they're going to be upset. And I'm not going to be the person they thought I was, because we're not spending the time eating the foods we used to, because I'm in a different direction. There are so many things that happen that help people not want to go down that direction because of who they think they're upsetting. And it's very, very sad.
I think a lot of people have difficulty, if they're new to this process, they have difficulty articulating what they actually do want. And probably because they haven't yet found the confidence to believe that that's possible. So when they walk in that gym, maybe what they do really want is they want to be ripped, they want to be shredded, but they think, hey, maybe that's not for me. So I'm going to set my goals quite low. And I just, I want to shed a few pounds and be able to walk and not be out of breath. That's maybe not what they want, but that's what they can comprehend, because that's as far as they believe that they can get. And the best coaches that I've worked with have pressed me to say, cool, is that it? Is that as far as you want to go? Because to me, that sounds pretty easy. So what else? And by pushing that, expanding, you mentioned Dan Martell, and his name's come up a few times on this podcast. And one of the things that he had asked me, and I've told the story, was he had asked me if I had a vision for $100 million to do $100 million in revenue in my business. And at that point, I hadn't. I had a plan to get to 30 million. And he said, cool, come back and talk to me when you've put together a 1-page plan to get to 100 million. And the challenge there was, all right, just to give that permission to think bigger, because people are limited, their vision and their goals are limited by their experience. And it's crazy the way that the brain works. Is we have the ability to physically dream and think bigger, right? We have these neural pathways in our brain, but they are limited based on our experience, what we see, what we hear, what we think about ourselves. And that ability to think bigger, think further, it's not super easy. It's possible. Anybody can do that. Anybody can think, anybody can dream, anybody can have that vision for themselves, but it's tough for a lot of people because they can only imagine themselves moving a small inch at a time, which is often the strategy. But I think getting them to that point and working with them to continuously show them what is possible better and better and better, and build that confidence step by step by step, is something that you and the best coaches in the world that I've worked with have been able to do. And I see that as a pattern that they have, is to pull more and more out of people that those people didn't know that they had inside of them.
You know what? You said exactly what everybody listening to this should be. It's like, Dan told me, he's like, so are you good? And I was like, well, yeah, like I'm doing well financially. Everybody's great. The studio's running fine. I'm great. He's like, well, what if I were to tell you there's no ceiling? Because I thought I had kind of reached exactly where I needed to go. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, take the roof off. If the sky's the limit, where do you want to go? And I was like, well, I've never thought about it like that. And he said to me, what kind of person would you be if you were rich or wealthy? And I said, well, I would be the exact same person, because I came from nothing, had to work on my own to get it. I'm not that kind of person. I just want to spend time with the people I care for most in the whole world, doing what I want to do and what they want to do. He's like, great answer. But at the same time, you look at Tony Robbins, you look at, all these guys where it's like, the second you start thinking about something specific, guess what you tend to do and what you see. Second I start thinking about, I wanted a Cadillac Escalade or a Ford F-150 or whatever vehicle you were thinking about, guess what you see all the time. It's crazy how you just said the mind works in mysterious ways. If you think it, it's on the forefront of your fucking brain and you're going to get it. And you see and listen to all these guys talk, Dan, Robbins, all these mentors, and they say the same thing. Think about what you want, now go and get it. Because if it's there, you're going to reach it. And it's crazy to think it's that simple. but it's nuts that it's that simple. And I didn't understand that because I thought I was good. I'm like, fuck it, we're great. Everything's awesome. Well, needless to I know that I was like, no, there's way more. And in the last year, I have gone so far in the other direction in a positive way that I just, now my brain thinks, what else can I do? How many more people can I help?
It's not complicated, but it's hard. The theory behind it is relatively straightforward, but it's pretty difficult for a lot of people to do.
Mindset. You got to have that switch that just says, okay, let's go get it. And that's what I love. It's like I wake up every single day excited because I love what I do. Not a lot of people can say that, and that's the part that's kind of tough for some people. But at the same time, once you find out what you're most passionate about, it doesn't matter about the money will come. You're going to succeed on levels that you never thought existed.
I want to talk about the cleanse for a second. I know you've talked a lot about the cleanse, but like this is magic. For a lot of people, it's like it's terrible, torturing magic for if you haven't gone through it or you're new to this. But I think your stats are the average person that goes onto this cleanse, which is the first kickoff to your fitness program. Every member that joins your program goes through the cleanse. I think your average 16 days cuts down 14 pounds. The average person loses, I think. I need you to speak to this a little bit. I've heard you talk about it before. I've been through it a couple of times, and I don't know if I was meant to go through it a second time, but I put myself back on it to kickstart the program again. Where did this come from, man?
So how I did this is I've been competing bodybuilding for 20 years. So when I say I went from being where I was, turning the hat backwards and going the opposite direction was standing on stage and looking as good as I possibly could with the best physique. And that on its own was a very hard feat because I'm already at a deficit. Now I've got to bring myself down to bring myself back up to be competitive in that world. And I learned so many tricks about food and how the body responds to specific foods. And that's why I always love to educate, because once you educate, that person has a clear understanding of why this works for them, because every single person on the face of the planet is different. There's no one set standard. It's not, if everyone does this, everyone's going to look amazing. If that was the case, I would be fucking sitting on an island right now with a fucking Mai Tai, never working again a day of my life. But it's not the case. So with all the information and all the years that I had worked at standing on stage and how the body responds and reacts to specific foods, I was able to build something because my 14-day cut is very similar in a sense to the 16-day cleanse, because it doesn't have a lot of foods that are going to cause a lot of inflammation in the body, because there's so many people out there, myself included when I first did this, that carry so much inflammation, water retention, and just stuff based on what we consume, how much sodium, how much shit it has in it. If we take that away, you get to see what you truly look like and how you feel. And so when I put it together, I wanted to make sure there was just fibrous vegetables, specific carbs that don't go ahead and inflame the body, because once again, cancer lives in an acidic state. And so if you take away sugars in specific foods, you're helping the body on a drastic level. And so when I put it together, I just knew that the foods I was consuming allowed the body to respond to a next level crazy amount. And I had to go through so many trials, because everything that I've ever given anybody, I've done myself. That's why with 100% certainty, when I'm talking to somebody and they're lying to me, I can fucking say, you're full of shit, because I know it works personally. And that's what I love about it, because that's what makes me fucking feel great about what I do. Everything I've done to myself, and I know how you're supposed to respond and react if you follow and trust the process. So when I put it together and I finally did it, I was like, holy shit. Yes, it's tough, but once again, it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it's 16 days of your life. But at the same time, during those 16 days, the reason why I built it initially, if I can build something where it takes somebody down 14, 15, 16, I had a guy lose 29 pounds once. And it was like, if I can do that for somebody in 16 days, what do you think they're thinking? They're going to be my client for the rest of my life as long as I continue to get results. Somebody told me a long time ago, if you can have 2 out of 3 things that somebody relies on in their life that they have to do every single day, you will have that person forever as long as you continue to get results. Food and working out. Are you joking me? I feel they're very important. So I've been able to build that to where people are like, holy shit, it's only been 2 weeks. What else do you have to offer? And for me, the biggest thing is consistency, because once we finish that and you feel amazing, and we actually go and get on a proper nutrition program where you get to actually eat food and not eat like a fucking bird and feel and look amazing and just take on the world and forget about this. Because if you can focus on other things, you don't have to focus on what you're consuming and what you're working out. It makes your day that much more productive, because you don't need to think about, oh shit, do I have to consume this? If I do this, is it going to make me feel bad? When there's other things to worry about. So that's why you have to trust whoever is helping you.
The thing that I found interesting about it, which I've heard you say so many times, is it doesn't matter if you're a 400-pound man or a 150-pound woman or a 110-pound woman. Like the cleanse is designed for everybody and designed for the body to do what the body is going to do and react to it how it needs to react.
It does, and that's initially like why I built it, because on there it doesn't specify how much to consume of anything. If it's gonna say you've got to consume this much, that means the body only needs that. But on spots where it just doesn't give you an amount, it's eat as much as the body, based on what you weigh and what you're doing for living, needs to consume at that time. But guess what? At the end of the day, whether you're 100 pounds or 500 pounds, it all works, because we all carry a specific amount of inflammation and the stuff not great for our body. And once again, it's not a cleanse that's going to make you go to the washroom all day long. You're going to pee, because that bloating inflammation just flows right through your body. And it's nuts, the clarity and how you feel after it's done when you finish the entire 16 days. It's amazing. But if we can carry that on to feeling like that all the time, I feel that's a huge win for everyone.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna get into some true or false questions for you. You ready to do some rapid fire? Have fun here. All right, I've prepared a few questions for you. Okay, without thinking too quickly. True or false? The only muscle men are allowed to work out on Mondays is chest. International Chest Day is legally binding. Definitely true. Okay, check. All right. If you don't post your workout on Instagram, it technically doesn't count.
It's a definite false.
All right. Check. If your coach says last set, it actually means you have at least 3 more sets.
100% true.
100% true. Doing ab exercises will magically burn fat off your stomach only and nowhere else.
False.
All right, man, you are busting some myths today, my man. If you walk into a gym and your song doesn't hit exactly at the right time, you're actually legally allowed to go home.
100%, yeah. I would definitely.
All right, cool. Makes sense. Carbs after 7 p.m. immediately turn into sadness and regret.
100% true.
Man, all right. You hear that, people? No carbs after 7 p.m. If the weights aren't loudly re-racked, your gains are reduced by 50%.
False. You're an asshole.
Okay, all right. You can out-train a bad diet as long as you sweat enough to earn your pizza.
Bullshit.
Damn it. All right. Again. The more complicated the exercise looks on Instagram, the more effective it is.
False.
All right. If you wear gloves at the gym, your testosterone drops by 20%.
30-40%.
30-40%. What about
straps?
Straps.
Straps are good because now you get to use the muscle, not your hands.
Love that. That was a good hack, actually. I like the straps, thank goodness. If you buy pre-workout, a new shaker cup, and new shoes, your PR automatically goes up.
For sure it does.
100%. I agree with that. Spotting someone means you should definitely touch the bar the entire rep just to help.
No, false.
Okay. Protein shakes only work if you slam them within 32 seconds of finishing your last set.
32 seconds? I'm going to say that's false, but semi-true.
All right, before we get back into this, how quickly should you be consuming protein after you finish your workout?
Almost immediately, but up to 30 to 45 minutes. 30 to 45 minutes so your body absorbs exactly what it needs before it starts burning muscle as an energy source.
Love that answer. All right, I don't feel so bad about having it on the drive home and not immediately while I'm cleaning up weights afterwards. If you're not talking about how early you get up to train, the workout doesn't count at all whatsoever.
Yes. Get your ass up and get out there.
Good. I encourage everybody to work out in the mornings if you possibly can. Sets the tone for the day. Get out there, make it happen. If you don't work out early, chances are there's just way too many barriers that are going to pop up in the middle of the day that are going to fuck with you. So I 100% agree. The closer it gets to summer, the less people train legs. It's basically law of nature.
That's so funny.
No legs, no legs on vacation. No leg workouts on vacation.
That's bullshit. You trade everything equally because you want to look amazing top to bottom.
Got it. Check. The gym mirror adds 10 pounds of muscle and removes 10 pounds of body fat.
False.
Is it? Because I'm pretty sure when I start working out of the gym and like I'm ready, I leave, I look good, I'm happy with
We're talking
the way I'm
about
looking.
for sure. You're gonna hit chest and you're gonna head to the beach right away. So yes, true.
It's so funny that in the gym mirror you look exceptionally better after your workout. And when you get home and you hop in the shower.
Yeah, that's where they just got you looking jacked regardless if you are or not.
All right, so it's not just the mirror. Cool.
No.
You can bulk and cut at the same time if you just clean bulk really lean.
False.
False.
You cannot bulk and clean. They don't. They're those are both counterproductive. It's like if I'm losing weight, I'm leaning out. I cannot bulk. If you try to bulk while you're trying to stay lean at the same time, you know how much longer it's going to take you and how much frustrated you're going to get.
Okay, we'll talk about bulking and leading out here shortly. A couple more questions for you. Asking how many sets you got left, bro, is one of the core human social skills. Yeah, I think so. Having a fitness coach means you're now immune to all snack-related temptations forever.
Definitely false, but you hope it's true.
Yeah, you know what? When people ask me and they're like, they're, hey, you want to do this? I'm like, yeah, I got a fitness coach. I'm pretty good. I can stack on the calories now. Man, let me ask you, when you've had the conversation a number of times with people that I've close with that work out in the accountability group about your thoughts on pre-workout and powders, protein supplements, that type of thing. You've openly said yourself you prefer not to use those types of supplements and actually recommend the food as the pre-workout. And by eating good whole foods and sugars, that is going to be the key. But I'd like you to talk about this idea. Like I was in Vegas not too long ago, and man, you get like the guys there, they get a big tall monster, a pack of Zyn, and they're like, this is their workout. They're just popping, energy drinks throughout their whole workout, loving that. It seemed like a pretty good way of getting through the workout. But what are your thoughts on pre-workout? What a good way of heart attack. Real quick before we get back to the show, if you have heard anything on this podcast that has resonated with you, or if it's helped you in any way, appreciate more than anything in the world if you could go hit that subscribe button or leave us a review. It helps us tremendously. I want to go back to being able to continue to serve and do more and more and help out and get bigger and bigger guests on, better and better. The only way that I can do that is with your help. I'm so honored to be here. Let's get back to the show. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.
When I was younger, was that guy that took creatine and all this different stuff to go and get the biggest pump and self-sabotage and nitrous oxide and all this different stuff, NO2 explode? No, it's all false. It's like, what do they put in that you're putting in your bottle? If you can't recognize the things you're consuming, guess what? Your body probably doesn't need it. And so I practice what I preach, and I have the mindset is, I know what goes in my body and how I'm going to be able to respond. So for me, and this is a personal preference, I definitely tell my clients to do the same. If they don't, it's totally fine. But I will say, when it comes to foods do we take protein shakes? Are a lot of them decent out there for you? Probably. But once again, I didn't make it. I don't know what's in it. I don't trust a lot of people, and that's a personal preference for me, or a personal thing for me. My shakes are usually egg whites because I believe in whole foods. Body responds so much better to the food it actually knows what to do with. When it comes to protein powders and supplements and pre-workouts and all this stuff, once again, I didn't make it. I don't trust anybody, and I don't think you should put that in your fucking body. What's the point of having all this stuff to get this pump that's going to be gone, but what is in it that gave you the pump? I would rather sit there with a rice cake, natural jam, maybe some honey, some Himalayan sea salt, have that, and now I'm going to hit the gym. My pump's going to be amazing, and at the same time, I have the peace of mind knowing exactly what it went in my body. Okay? For me, that's way more important than just saying, okay, cool, I felt like $1 million. I felt like I was on fucking cloud 9, but at the same time, it's just a bunch of chemicals in a protein powder or a little fucking pre-workout that gave me this. Not for me. For me, the biggest thing out there is longevity. I want to be able to do what I'm doing now when I'm 60 or 70 years old. I don't know what I'd be able to do if I was taking all these different peptides and pre-workouts and this and that, because once again, I believe in longevity and just knowing what's in my body, because There's so many things out there that cause cancer and cause this and cause that. And I was like, I don't want to be a part of that, but I'll do everything I can to stay away from it and to get it out there to all my clients. Once again, I'll tell them what I would do. They have a decision to make. It's on their own.
You mentioned creatine, and that's sort of an interesting one because I know I used to take a lot of creatine pretty well every day, and I know a lot of other people that take creatine. I've heard creatine is widely spoken about as one thing that you can take quite regularly without very few side effects, and it's quite healthy. And if there's one thing that you should add into your regimen, creatine might be one of the things that you should consider taking. Why don't you specifically like creatine? Is that you specifically you, or is it a preference?
It's just a preference for me. Like, I agree that you can take creatine and does it help the body? Yes, it does. And if you're taking it on a regular basis, the gains you're getting are never going to go away because it's part of your ritual every single day on stuff you take. Once again, if you're going to take something for 3 months, come off for 3 months, even though you probably should stay on it the entire time, is it worth it to do that back and forth or just stay consistent? Consistency for me is more important than just trying something out, coming off of it and trying it again. Well, fuck that. Creatine works like this. Yes, it does help the muscle grow because it adds water to the muscle and it gives you a little bit more energy to push harder, 100%. But I want everybody to know out there that when you take creatine, your body produces ATP. So what happens is when you're that kind of person that's going to push that 95%, that's when creatine is released. So if you're that person that's saying, I'm going to get every fucking rep that I'm supposed to, and I'm going to push as hard as I can, by all means, take creatine because now it's being produced in the body, it's being released, and you're getting the benefits from creatine. If you're not that kind of person, you're getting a false benefit because it just adds water to the muscle, gives you a little bit more energy. But once again, do you eat the right amount of foods? Do you do all the other things that will allow the creatine to do what it needs to in the body? So it's more than just, do I take creatine? It's all the other things that lead up to that as well.
Yeah, it's got me thinking about creatine. Since starting to work with you, I've eliminated all creatine out of like fear that it's going to mess with the regimen. So I've stopped that. I have a half bottle of creatine still in my cupboard. Wondering whether or not I'm ever going to get back to that. But you're telling me probably not.
Like, I would rather more people get their levels checked for TRT than I would for creatine because there's so many other things that cause complications with your heart if your levels are out of whack. Like, heart disease runs in my family. My dad had a heart attack before the age of 55. Because of that, I'm directly related or linked to having forms of that in me, no matter how healthy I get. But when that happened, I got all the scans, all the tests, all the blood work. It came back when my test was at a 4. So in us in Canada, it goes from 0 to 29 or 30. Mine's at a 4. Well, that's a direct relation to me having later in life heart problems. So TRT brought me back to 15, 16, where I'm supposed to be. No complications anymore. But once again, you don't feel the complications until there are. So if you have high blood pressure, you don't feel it until you've got an issue. And so the thing is, getting your blood work done, getting all the stuff checked and all your levels checked is a good indication of knowing where you're supposed to be, even though you think you feel great. And that's more important for me.
A TRT was in one of my further questions that I had for you in another game that we're going to play that you don't know about yet. I guess since we're on the topic, testosterone, right? Do men, women generally see a drop after a certain age? Is it very, very dependent? Is it like, hey, as soon as you hit 40, you should be checking this out, or 50? Or is it there going to be general signs that testosterone is usually maybe less of is less being produced in your body naturally? Are there going to be signs of that where you should go in and get that checked out immediately? Maybe you're less tired, maybe you can't keep weight off, maybe you can't lift as much as you think that you should, maybe there's some form of depression. Is there at any point here should you be getting tested? Are there any sort of specific signs that you see?
I would say number one, number two, number three are, yes, lifting and all of a sudden the weight going down, your libido, and just your energy levels. You'll notice that when men, usually after the age of like 35, yeah, there's rare cases and stuff like that before 35, but that's kind of when it starts to decrease, if it's going to decrease. I've had clients that got them checked at 38 and they're sitting at fucking 50. And their body's naturally producing like an obscene amount of testosterone. So every case is different. That's why I said earlier, it's like there's no one set standard for every single person. Every person is an individual case. So 35, go get your blood checked every 6 months. or every year. It's very important because, once again, for men and women, we're all different. But yes, for me, it's energy levels. So the second I started taking TRT, when my dad had that heart attack and I got all my levels checked, and I went from 4 to mine sits at 16, 17 right now on a regular basis. I feel like I'm shot out of a cannon. But the thing is, I was already eating very healthy before. So if I'm eating healthy and I'm doing all the things, but I'm still feeling lethargic, all these little things are kind of bothering me, that's an indication that I should go and get my levels checked. If I was shot out of a cannon and I felt good, I'd have no indication that I should go and do that. So for people that are starting to see those signs and they're already doing everything they should to allow for them to feel amazing, drinking all the water, exercising, eating healthy, getting adequate amount of sleep, but then still lethargic, yes, please go get your levels checked.
You mentioned consistency earlier in the conversation, and I think it's a pretty common thing that people go through. They get on this workout plan, they work out for a few months, and they just fade away. They start seeing results, and then they disappear. You wonder whatever happened to them, and then they realize, hey, yeah, I used to work out. I need to get back into it. I haven't worked out for a few months. What is it that is there a common thread that a lot of people have that just throws them off of the train and they decide I can't stay consistent with this? Is there something that's going on in their mind? We talked about self-sabotaging earlier. Is it, maybe that they're seeing some of these results that becomes pretty good and they think that they can just ease off the gas? Is it maybe something bigger? Are they afraid of how successful they're going to be, how good they're going to look? Is it maybe difficult to keep up an image, thinking that if I get really shredded, if I get really toned, then I'm going to have to keep this up for the rest of my life. And I don't want to have to do that because it seems like a lot of work? Or what is it that you find typically runs through people's minds that stops them from being consistent, stops that longevity, that long-term game plan when it comes to working out and eating healthy?
Everything you just said applies to a lot of the reasons why. I would say that for a lot of people that it does happen with, that I've, been able to be a part of, is life takes over. And what I mean by that is, I always tell my clients, you are number one. When you break down, the fucking system breaks down. And if I am always on and I feel good, do you understand what I'm going to do for my family, what I'm going to do for work, how I'm going to respond, how I'm going to act, the energy I'm going to have, and what it's going to do to the people around me is uplifting and like, holy shit. When I'm having bad days or bad weeks or whatever it might be, everything else takes the back seat as well. So I would say that, like I said earlier in this podcast, it's like misery loves company. So sometimes when someone's doing very well, if their counterpart isn't on board because they may or may not be there, it definitely deters that person from continuing to move forward. Because what I see so much is when someone is starting to get into better shape and feel better, their confidence level goes up. They dress different, they talk different, they act different. But once again, they want to come home or talk to the people around them and try to exude this confidence and talk about it. When it's not taken the way they want, it tends to deter them, and then they kind of back up because they don't want to disrupt what that might be, especially in relationships. And it's crazy how often it happens. And then funny thing is, a year down the road, they come back at whether they or they just said, fuck it, I'm doing this for me regardless. I like when that happens, because if the other person in the relationship wants to be with that person and actually cares, they're either going to support or they're going to get on board. And that's the number one, I believe.
Yeah, having a partner at home, if you're in a relationship that supports this journey that you're on, is a huge around it. Wait, when I had recently we had our second daughter. She's about 6 months old now, and one of the difficult things was when you are working out, when you're eating something that's different than the rest of the family, like that becomes a very difficult. Yeah, it really does. It becomes a very difficult conversation, and it can become stressful enough to be like, man, I shouldn't work out, or I should just eat what everybody else is eating, or the looks that you get when you go to dinner parties and you're like, man, I don't want to be that guy, but I gotta like stick to my food here because I'm kind of doing a thing. And that feels weird. That looks weird. I remember I went to a corporate golf tournament, and it was in the summer, and there's beers all over the place. It's food trucks all over the place. Sample this, ice cream that, like all sorts of stuff, and it's all free with the entry of the ticket. And there I am in my I got my Tupperware, my food portioned out. I'm eating oatmeal while, people are eating breakfast sandwiches. And it was like, it felt weird. And there's this pressure to sort of conform to what everybody else is doing. And I think not a lot of people talk about that pressure. Like if you're a young single guy or gal, and like it's very, very different. But if you have a significant other, a wife, a husband, if you have kids, one kid, two kid, three kids, like it doesn't matter. Every circumstance is going to be different, but that is going to be your complexity ceiling. And what that really forced me to do is be careful with the conversations that I'm having, and has had really forced me to step up the conversations that I was having with my family, my parents, my wife, and it was actually a skill that I didn't necessarily have before to that level. But knowing that this is something that I wanted, and knowing that I needed the support from them to go through this journey, I needed that support in order for me to be successful. My complexity ceiling was being able to communicate that clearly and communicate the benefits of that, but also at the same time, cut a lot of other stuff out of my life to make sure that they knew that, this is a priority and my other priorities are them, and I'm going to do everything I can to move mountains to make sure that I'm not in the way of their life and affecting them negatively, and that overall, I want to have the strength and the tools to be that person that I always wanted to be, and be that person that they always wanted me to be. And in order to do that, it came with some pretty difficult conversations. And luckily, my wife is beautiful. She has a huge heart. She's super supportive, and certainly couldn't do that without her.
It was 100%. Someone once told me a long time ago, just be the lighthouse. And it's crazy when you do that and you're consistent all the time. When you do finally make that switch, regardless of who's in your life, obviously you don't have to be an asshat about how you go about it, but just be consistent. And just once people start to see the energy you have, the confidence that you're exuding, and what kind of effect you have on the lighthouse, the conversations start to change because people start to ask you, because they might have wanted to do it, but they just didn't know how to go about starting it. And the fact that you're around, or anybody else that's listening to this that's doing that same thing, you understand that all these other people are watching what you're doing. And once you do it for a lengthy period of time, they're going to come and have a conversation with you, which is going to turn their tune and change their life. And so that was huge for me because, like you just said in the very beginning, it was hard because I would go to these events or I would go do stuff with my wife, and I was the only fucking guy sitting there with my Tupperware container, but I had an objective and I knew where I wanted to go. And if I didn't, and I had have failed or faltered or stopped, I wouldn't be here listening to this and talking to you right now.
And the other thing that if you can get that support from a significant other, the other thing that people don't talk about, what I have noticed is, if you are getting that support and you can communicate what you need, and you can find a happy middle ground where you can gain that support, have those conversations, when that turns and that person is interested and they want to get in shape, or it's their turn, I'm like, now anytime, like I want to make sure that I'm doing whatever I can to move mountains so that my wife can get her exercise, because I know that it's been important to me. It has to be important to her. And if I didn't have that same kind of support in that area of my life, then I wouldn't be able to provide that. And I'm just like, I've really pushed that, protect that time, whatever that's needed, whatever's going to be important to her. I know that she's able to give me the time and the space and communicate what is super important to me and where my priorities are. And in turn, I'm able to respect that and just say, thank you so much for this time. I know that it's a sacrifice on your end. I'm willing to sacrifice all of this to make sure that you have the time or the space or whatever it is that you need to grow yourself, because that's so important as well.
See, it's like I will never be the person that calls people out or says, "Hey, you should be eating healthier, or you should be doing this." That's a you problem or not. But that's me to be here to be consistent for them to feel comfortable enough to come up and ask me a question as opposed to me saying, hey, you should be doing this. I will never do that. That has happened to me, and it wasn't taken very well because, once again, you may not be in that spot yet. You may not be. There's 7 steps to even walking through the fucking door at a gym. So they might be on step 3 and have somebody say, you should be doing this. What do you mean I should be doing this? Let me get to that conclusion myself, whether that's your rock bottom on step fucking 5 or whatever it is. But then once you make that switch, you can't make somebody quit smoking. They have to want to. But if you can just show them that this is what they could feel like and the energy they could have and the confidence they could feel, they see it. They see it all the time. And then they'll come up and be like, you know what? I'm ready. All right, let's fucking go.
The biggest thing about, we talk about the complexity ceiling, and the biggest, I think, benefit, I say that sort of heavily, but one of the biggest benefits of discipline and working out and keeping that commitment that you're making to yourself, finding the way to have those conversations, it proves that you can handle almost anything. And if there is any uncertainty in the future, in the market, in the workplace, whatever that is, you just know, all right, I've been through this. I've been through some hard stuff. I trust myself to make the decisions that need to be made. Whatever happens in the future, it doesn't matter. I am going to be strong enough to handle, to make the decisions, to do the right thing, because I trust myself with confidence that I'll be able to handle anything that comes at me.
Most people get to that point where they feel they have that kind of confidence and that mindset to be able to think like that.
The other thing that my wife had mentioned to me was, that our daughters, I have two daughters, and she made the comment, I don't want my daughters to ever have to feel bad about their bodies. And she had mentioned, you're not naturally a thin person, a fit person. Like it's genetics, it's there. And I had said, you know what, I 100% agree with that. I hope they never have to worry about their body. I hope they never have to feel the need to, measure out their food and never feel the need to jump on a scale. But if there is ever a time where they feel like they need some guidance and they are struggling, or they are worried about their body image, or they're trying to hit certain goals, whatever that is, I want to be able to guide them. I don't necessarily want somebody else to be able to, show them what's right and wrong. I want to be able to do that myself. And I want to be a leader and a father to my children and be able to know that I have the tools to guide them and to help them if they ever call upon me to do so.
When you do that, father, eventually they will feel comfortable enough to come and have that conversation with you because you didn't go ahead and ask them to say that's not
It's the same in the household as it is in business as well. And as the owner of a company, as a leader of an organization, when your staff sees somebody that is disciplined in their actions and they see somebody that is consistent, then they know that they can trust. And when you say you're going to do something, that is going to get done. But if you're somebody that's flip-flopping all back and forth all over the place, it doesn't really provide a whole lot of certainty.
Consistency is key, regardless if in business, food, fucking gym, all of it. Doesn't matter.
I'm going to get into some rapid fire questions here. What I want you to do is rate these on a scale of 1 to 10 of importance, 10 being highest of level of importance, 1 being absolutely not, forget about it. Sound good? All right, brother. Question came up earlier. Chest on Mondays. Electrolytes in the mornings.
Ooh, 1.
Pre-workout.
If it's food, 10.
Post-workout stretching.
10.
Pre-workout cardio.
10.
Post-workout cardio.
10. They both have different effects. One's to warm up the body, one's to get rid of lactic acid. Both 10s.
Love it. Post-workout protein.
False. That's a 1.
Meal prep.
Fucking 12.
High rocks.
Sorry?
High rocks.
I don't even know what that fucking is.
It's so like the kind of CrossFit thing that's like popping up all over the place. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. All right. Intermittent fasting.
1. Unless it's 12 hours. And that's not intermittent. So I would say 1.
Eating after 6 p.m.
Don't do it.
Plate of spaghetti before a big race. Very important. 10. Interesting. You see
Yeah,
that.
because usually that's why hockey players and a lot of my clients will prepare the day before a big race. That's why you see a lot of hockey players will just dummy past it the night before, so they have a ton of energy the next day. If you do it the same day, it ain't going to work out because your body's not going to be able to utilize those carbs the way it should.
That's good to know. I like that. A testosterone replacement after 40.
10, get your levels checked.
Get them checked. How often should you get them checked?
I do it every 6 months.
Every 6
But I
months.
also do, I have a list of like 10 different things that I do, from like pull-up tests to like moles to mole mapping to everything, because I don't want to go out that way, and if I can do it, I'm going to make sure I'm on it.
BCAAs.
It's like 5. It's hit and miss.
Hit
for
and
me.
miss. Cool. Skipping leg day.
Fucking never. Don't ever skip leg day. You dumb? Your chest is going to get bigger the more you hit legs.
Oh, I love it. Man, I want to thank you so much for being here and sharing your story, shedding your light. If there was a last message that you could leave our listeners today, is there anything that you would like to say to them?
Don't let anybody tell you what you can or cannot do. If you've got the drive and you've got the will, go out and get what you want.
Man, I love it. Where can people find you?
Well, they can currently find me at Alan Dyck Fitness. In the process of having my other Instagram, which is Coach Alan Dyck, come back, but right now, Alan Dyck Fitness.
Okay, so I'll frame this a little bit for the people we were talking about this offline. Your Instagram profile, currently at the time that we're recording this, has currently been stolen. I had close to, I think, 70,000 followers. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, it's at 75. Yeah.
About 75,000 followers. Instagram gone, in the process of getting that back, but we'll make sure that we take that up. Man, what a process we were talking about offline. Just like, I can't believe what you're going through currently.
It's just it's going to add to the story, Dan said, so it's all good.
I love it. I love it. Man, appreciate that so much. Appreciate your time. Honestly, dude, thank you so much for the new body you've given me, the new mindset that you've given me on food, on fitness. Appreciate you always to the end of the earth, brother.
Thank you very much for this, and it was a pleasure being here, buddy.
Awesome. And to all the listeners still out there with us, appreciate you, appreciate your time. And as always, I'm here rooting for you to win. Stay blessed. Have a great day. Rock and roll.
Dude, awesome.